Hi there, Chris here with Rainbow Guys DIY. Today I'm going to be installing a new kitchen sink. So if you've been following along, we've been remodeling our kitchen one project at a time. Next up is putting in a new sink. We have already installed the countertop. It's glued down to the cabinets. The sink kit that we bought came with a template. So I have taped that down to the countertop, centering it on the cabinet, and then front and back, making sure not to hit the actual frame of the cabinet. This particular sink, we're doing a top mount installation, and it has a track that will have clamps that clip into it and clamp it to the underside of the countertop. We will also put in a bead of silicone caulking around the edge just to make sure it's nice and watertight. And that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move the camera a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. So I've taped the template down. I can see through this tape, so I'm not too worried about marking the line. I am going to start by drilling a hole in the corner and then using my jigsaw to cut around the remainder.
How does this get pulled out?
There are little tabs on the inside. And I'm going to pop this one out too, so that I can help. There we go. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to just dry fit it in, make sure it fits, make any adjustments if needed. Perfect fit. Ooh, that's gonna look so good. It looks so much deeper. I love it. Okay, everything fits perfectly. So now, before we actually install it, I'm going to install the faucet onto it. I will install the sink before I install the garbage disposal because that would be too much to figure out. So, since the faucet is typically very far back in the cabinet, it can be really awkward to try and connect everything. This faucet came pretty much all pre-assembled. It's a single hole faucet. So you can see here, I think you can see, yes. These two will actually connect together. There's a weight I will put on it, and that's the weight that helps this retract back when not in use. And then this one in the braid has a blue line. This one in the braid has a red line. That's your cold and your hot. So they make it nice and easy. So we just put it through the hole. This is threaded here. We have a rubber gasket, a metal washer, and then this, which is the nut. It also has 2 tightening screws on it. So we will feed all of them up, fitting all the hoses through. It's a little snug. There we go. So depending on your faucet, this happens to be the faucet that came with this sink, it has a 180-degree swivel, but you can see here that's as far as it goes, and then we go here. We're gonna have a wall here. Obviously that's not what we want. So we want it to be positioned like so. So that is how it will swivel. Every faucet is different, so just check the instructions that came with it. Okay, I have tightened down the nut. Then I'm going to tighten the set screws. This just makes sure that it does not wiggle free over time. Moving it back and forth, eventually you would knock it loose, and then your faucet would be loose. You'd have to figure out a way to get under the sink, and just imagine that the back of the cabinet is here, so you have, what, 2.5 inches to try to get up here and tighten this down. Not fun. I've done it. So it's much easier to do this all right now. Okay, so that is attached. This faucet came with a heavy weight, and this will go on the hose that feeds the faucet. Which is this one here. So we will connect these together. I'm going to need the vice grips. So, attaching the two hoses together, I'm going to tighten them down with some pliers here in a second, but you want to make sure they don't get twisted like that. That's going to really prevent your faucet from working the way it was intended to work. So, this is a swivel connection. Just make sure it's a nice, free-moving loop. Going to use 2 pairs of pliers to tighten it down. Don't want any leaks under the kitchen sink. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And now for the weight. You want to separate it into its 2 pieces, and you're going to install it on the side of the loop that is feeding the faucet. So this side is stationary, does not move. This side does. This is the side we want weighted to pull down. So you can see down here, that's where it comes to its lowest point. We want to install it on this side up just a little ways, so that it will always pull it down, but still leaves plenty of room to pull the faucet out. So I could probably go up actually even a little higher. I don't think we'll ever be pulling the faucet out that far. Then you screw the clamp, screw the weight on. Make sure it is tight so that it does not slide up and down anymore. This is a braided rope or a braided hose, so there is some friction on it already, which helps. There we go. It doesn't twist or slide, so it's going to stay in place. So now when you pull the faucet out, it returns back to its home position, so it'll stay right there. This sink had mixed reviews on Home Depot. Lots of the reviews were about the faucet. So far, I have no trouble with the faucet. It's a very nice faucet. It doesn't feel chintzy. Obviously, I haven't installed it to water yet, so I don't know if it leaks, but I'm hopeful. So this particular sink has 2 options for mounting. One is a top mount and one is an under mount. Since we are using laminate counters, obviously we can't do under mount because you'd have a nasty edge here. So we're doing a top mount, but eventually we would like to upgrade to quartz or granite or a solid surface counter, at which time I would like to do an under mount. So this worked out perfectly where we would be able to reuse the sink, save some extra money. So because it has 2 different mounting styles, it came with 2 boxes of hardware, and it is labeled, this is for an under mount installation, this is for a top mount installation, so we're going to use this. But I will hold on to the other hardware. I will also hold on to the other template it came with for when we, hopefully, and a couple years, replace the countertops. Is that how it goes? Yuppers. So, on the underside of this sink, there is a channel. These screws and clamps slide into that channel. So the screw head slides in there, and then as you tighten it down, from underneath, the clamp will get closer and closer and clamp onto the countertop. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all these started because they did come in as two separate pieces. So I will just get them all started so they're a little bit easier once I am underneath to get them all going. They have a flathead slot in them. So now I need to find my flathead screwdriver. The threads on the screw are backwards, it seems, because of the way it installs. So it's a little weird putting these on because I keep spinning them the wrong direction. So before I put the sink on the countertop, I will slide all of these into the channels so that I don't have to try and futz with that while I'm underneath it. Oh, look at me. I did grab my flathead screwdriver. I'm apparently a genius. We also do want to put some caulking around the edge so that it has a nice watertight seal. Grab the caulking gun. So I bought just some kitchen and bath adhesive sealant in clear so that if any spills out, I can just wipe it away, but it's not the end of the world and I don't have to mess with white or brown or anything like that. I think I need to actually pierce this. These plastic ones, sometimes you gotta pierce them, sometimes you don't. There we go. Okay. Just putting a bead right along the edge. A generous bead, I would say. I probably should have moved the sink out of the way before I started this. I'm just gonna set that down there. Trying to stay right up on the edge. There's not a heck of a lot of lip on it. All right, those are all in. Trying to not crush my fingers and get... I think the clamps are meant to be put in after the fact. They are getting in the way. The clamps actually were supposed to be placed into the channels prior to the sink going into the countertop. Just take this as a lesson of reading your instructions prior to starting your project. Okay, back to the show. So much for my brilliant idea. I did have some seep out, so I'm just going to, with my finger, clean that up real quick. Make it look all nice and pretty. Okay. Got that cleaned up, but I'm probably gonna have to clean it up again. Once I clamp it down, it'll probably squeeze out more. So I'm not really sure why I did that. 4, 6, 8, 10. Apparently 2 got left on. All right, let's see how I'm gonna do this.
All right, so as you can see, it's a very tight fit. This is like maybe 2 inches. I got my clamp in place, and now I just have to get this in the little slot and tighten it down. Not a very easy task. Especially when you have to do it 12 times. Okay, it is in there and it's secure.
All right, sink is in place. It is all clamped down. So when we were taking out the old plumbing, the pipe, the drain pipe, the metal drain pipe coming out of the wall, the end of it where the thread is all corroded. It's really bad. So I can't get a new nut to screw on here. So what we have done is we made another quick trip to the home improvement store and got this gasket. It is in French. It is a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch. You can be used for cast iron, plastic, and steel. That's what it is. CIPL and ST. I was trying to remember what they were. So we are going to use this to join cast iron to PVC. On the PVC, we are then going to glue this male threaded end onto the end of it, and that is what we will then screw the nut onto for the drain pipe. So, first I am going to glue.
Prime and then glue.
Thank you, it's been a while. I'm going to glue the end onto the PVC. I've already cut a short length of the PVC. If you've never glued PVC before, it is a 2-part process. First, we need to prime it, which is the purple stuff. So we're just going to put some on the end here. We're also going to put some inside the fitting. Not too much, you don't want it dripping. Second part is the actual cement. You will do the same thing. It's not quite as drippy. So you just...
Do you want to explain how the cement works? And why it's important to get the whole area?
I do not know how the cement works.
Oh.
So you got your primer and your cement on both sides, and you just push it together and hold it there for a few seconds.
Do you want me to tell you how the cement works?
Sure.
So the cement works by actually, it's not like an adhesive cement. It chemically melts the plastic on a very, very low level. And when it sets, it will actually create a bond between the 2 plastics that you've basically just melted. This is definitely something you want to use in a well-ventilated area.
Luckily, we only have this tiny little piece.
And we've only had these open for like 5 minutes, so...
Not even.
We are not concerned about venting.
And we happen to have it on hand because we used it for the irrigation of the backyard. If you don't have any on hand,
It is not
It's
expensive.
not very expensive, but I think they also have smaller containers of it.
And I think there's other stuff that you can use if it's a small little project like this.
Yes.
But we already had this on hand, so there was no reason to get something else.
Okay, so now we have our coupler here. The way the coupler works, it has this inner rubber gasket, which is going to slip on here, and then it will also slip on the metal. And then this piece fits perfectly over it, and we will tighten it down. And it is a 5/16 inch hex nut, and you just tighten it down. So that is nice and secure. It's all the way in. There is a ridge in the middle, halfway. So this will fit in halfway, the other will fit in halfway. That way you don't have to worry about it being too far over to either side. So now I'm going to fit this onto the metal pipe. I want to make sure it goes as far in as possible. Just feeling to make sure it hit that center. Then we will tighten that down. And that is good and secure. While I'm down here, I'm also going to connect the hot and cold water supply lines. So this is the hot side. This one right here is connected to the dishwasher on the other side of this cabinet. And then this is where I will install the hot supply for the sink. This is the cold. This is the old supply line for the refrigerator, which has been disconnected, so this will remain off. And then this side is where I will connect the cold supply for the sink. So these are pretty simple. Get that one out of the way. It's a braided hose, and you just screw it on. So you want to finger tighten it, and then use an adjustable wrench, and go a quarter turn to a half turn more. You don't want to over tighten. And then depending on your own personal strength, what your finger tight is might be different than, say, a plumber or someone else that you have come in. So you just want to make sure it is good and secure, and then you'll turn the water on, just make sure there are no drips. So that was the hot side. Over here is the cold side. I'm going to get in the way for a second. So that is finger tight. Half turn more. Okay, those are connected. But before the garbage disposal is installed, I just want to turn them on because it's going to sit right here, so it'll kind of be in the way. So that is the cold. This side is going to stay off because it is just connected to this copper pipe that is going all of nowhere. We will address that later.
In the future.
I'm going to turn on... Oh, apparently I had turned off the dishwasher. That was really unnecessary. But I'm turning it back on. Checking for leaks. Just make sure everything is nice and dry. I'm going to get that out of the way. You know what? While I'm down here, I might as well take this off just so this copper is not under the sink going nowhere. So the supply lines are hooked up. We have repaired the drain. Be sure to watch our follow-up video where we install our new garbage disposal. I'll leave a link in the description below.
I was about to suggest something stupid.
What were we about to suggest?
I was going to say, let's turn the faucet off, but I'm like, oh wait, but we don't have a drain yet.
Did you not listen to me?
Listen, Linda!
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also be sure to follow us on Instagram @rainbowguysdiy. See you next time.